Okay, so we're going to discuss removing the drain line flow control button, and which helps. Sometimes you'll get some sediment in the valve, which prevents the brine draw, which works on a siphon, especially if you're getting a reverse flow. So if water's actually coming out of your brine line, typically it's something back in here, and we can show you how to remedy that with a few quick easy steps here. We're demonstrating on a Fleck 5600 SXT. Not sure if this works on all water softeners, but it certainly works on the Fleck 5600 and 5600 SXT at getting that brine draw to really get a better suction on it. So like I said, it's not always the problem, but a lot of times, especially if there's water coming out of your brine line going to your salt tank, it's usually this. So we start by removing the drain line here. And then we've got this drain barb on here. Yours probably has some Teflon tape on it, hopefully a wrap or two. And we remove that guy. And we do this all while the softener's in bypass. You're going to want to be sure to bypass your softener. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. You're going to notice this little retainer in here. We need to remove that nipple there. And it's kind of fragile, so you got to be careful. If you look way back in there, you'll notice there's a couple of grooves kind of on the outside of it. That's where we want to be putting the needle nose pliers on, or the couple small screwdrivers work as well. So that's where you want to be putting the pressure on. You don't want to put the pressure on the nipple, it will crack. You don't want to grab on the nipple, it will crack. But you want to use those two grooves in the back there to get your needle nose pliers on, or a couple small screwdrivers work pretty good too. So once we got this guy out of there, once you get it started, you can loosen it by hand. It's pretty easy to come out. Next, you'll notice there's a little rubber washer in there we call the drain line flow control button. That's got to come out too. That's much easier to get out of there. And we just pop that out like so. That beveled edge, that will go on the inside when it goes back in. So where the indentation is, that goes in, and we'll explain that again later. But now it's an open port, which is what we want. And we put everything back together. So you put your drain barb back on, and you'll put your drain line back on. And what you'll want to do is go to the brine draw position, or on a mechanical unit, it might say brine rinse. Once you're there, you want to open the bypass on the softener, and you'll hear water start going to drain. Let that go for about 2 minutes, but only do this in brine draw or brine rinse. If you do it in any other of the cycles of the backwash, it will have too much lift and lift all the resin out of the tank and send it down the drain, so you'd have no more resin. You'd have bigger problems. So only do this trick in the brine draw. So leave this out for 2 minutes while it's in brine draw, and then go ahead and bypass the unit again. Remove your drain line, remove your drain barb. We want to put the button back in with the groove indentation going in. Back in, there's a little slot, couple little slots that hold that in there. We want to put our retainer back in and just snug that up real good. Don't over tighten it, you'll definitely break that. So just snug that up really good like that. Like I said, under normal conditions, you'd have a couple of wraps on this. You don't want too many wraps on this, you'll actually crack the valve, but a couple of wraps of Teflon tape on your drain barb. Put that back on, put your drain line back on. Typically, we have a hose clamp on here too, on the drain line, so that it doesn't fly off. And then you can open your bypass back up, and then you should notice that your water is starting to draw out of your salt tank at this point. You definitely want to double make sure that during the brine draw that it sucks it almost all the way to the bottom. If it does, wait till it's all done. Make sure it doesn't add so much water in the salt tank that it hits the float. And if that's the case, it drew it out and filled it back up without hitting the float, then you have fixed your problem. So congratulations. If you bought from A+ Water LLC, we would love to help you. If you want any questions during this process or need help with anything at all, we're here to help. Toll free at 1-877-477-5452. Toll free at 1-877-477-5452.